Hi everyone, today I want to share a new stamp set from Stampin' Up! That I think is just super cute. It's called Nothing's Better Than, and I think nothing is better than several of these combinations actually. Coffee and cookies, coffee and chocolate, coffee and anything. I do love to bake cookies and I do love my chocolate. So this is a great set for me, and I think these sayings and these little sentiments are adorable. So I made up a little collection of cards with them, and every time we get a new set that involves coffee, I love to just use real coffee on my cards. They smell like real coffee, at least for a little while, and it's just fun to use. Some people may not know that it's real coffee, but it is, and I think that it adds a little something cute to the card. So I always do that. You can go look through some of my previous videos and search for coffee, and you'll see lots of cards using coffee, or if you go to my blog, I've done lots of things with coffee actually. Anyway, so this set involves coffee, and I'm going to focus on that at first, and then I'll do some other cards maybe in the upcoming weeks on the cookies and chocolate and cocktails and the different things, but I want to focus on my first love, which is coffee. So here are the dies. These are really great. You've got large letters for chocolate, cocktails, cookies, coffee, and then this says love you more than. They cut out beautifully. I don't know what the new dies, they seem like they're made of the same material as the old dies, but they cut out really great for me actually, so I'm really happy with the dies. And here you've got a cookie and the chocolate, the little cocktail, and the coffee cups. So really fun die set, and if you buy them together as a bundle, you save 10%. So here I've made a couple of really simple cards, and I just like to start simple when I get a new stamp set, and then you can kind of build on it from there. So here we're starting simple, and I've got today's plan: consume coffee and be awesome. So I like that. It's really fun. I've chosen colors that I think are kind of, I don't know, this cup looks kind of retro. These kind of look like diner colors to me. I'm not sure. This is Just Jade and Flirty Flamingo. And then I'm using espresso ink and paper and coffee. The steam is actually crumb cake, so there is that one too. So then I've also got today's plan: consume coffee because adulting is hard. So I think that one's fun too, and they're the same layout as you can see. I've also got love you more than coffee, and a day without coffee is like just kidding, I have no idea, which is totally true for me. I have coffee first thing every day. So I wanted to show how to make the little coffee splatter and just put some cards together really quickly with you. I wanted to show you how easy it is to make these and how fast they come together. So when I make coffee paintings, I like to, you can paint straight from your cup of coffee, but you're not going to get, even if you're a dark coffee drinker like I am, you're not going to get these deep different colors like this. It'll be really light because it's just actually not as concentrated as you would think. It's more like this one here, and painting with it just isn't going to give you those tones. You can get a little bit. This one I did with pretty new coffee, but some of these deeper ones I waited a little bit. So what you're going to want to do is, if you have a little bit of coffee left over in your coffee pot, the bottom of the coffee pot that has the little grains in it, just pour some in something like this. This is a little palette, or you can also pour something here. I have, this is what I was using recently to make a coffee painting I'm working on. I'm working on painting a coffee cup with coffee, but this is just coffee. I poured it in, let it sit. It went down to nothing, poured some more in. It kind of starts to build. So this is several days of the last bits of coffee that have dried out, and then I've kept adding more. It looks wet now because I was just painting out of it. Now if you want to work really fast and you don't have time to wait for a bunch of coffee, this is a great product. I keep this with me when I am traveling, and I went in my cupboard to see if I had any, and I did. It's an instant coffee, and I like this for when I'm at a hotel and I'm not sure if the coffee is going to be good. So I keep this with me when I travel, and you can just use a tiny bit of this in water and make yourself kind of a little pan like this. You can just add a little bit of the powder, a little bit of water, and let it dry out, and you can add more if you think it needs it, but stir it really good. You're going to get more granules in this one if you don't stir it really good, and also it's more thick. It's a little bit harder to use if you don't do it the slow way of just adding a little bit each day and getting yourself a good base. So anyway, that's how I paint with coffee. You can also try using it right out of your cup of coffee, but I think to get better darks and light values, dehydrating the coffee is the way to go. Okay, All my cards are using a base of Just Jade. And then I've got pieces of watercolor paper cut at 5 by 3 3/4. And I'm just going to show you how to do some of these backgrounds. So I'm taking an aqua painter. I'm actually using my old style aqua painter. The coffee does stain a little bit, and my new aqua painters, they're called water painters now, are nice and clean, and I just don't want to use them. So I'm using an old one, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab some of this coffee. Now what I like to do when I'm making it is make several wells of coffee, and that way I can put a little bit in this one, and I can add more water to this one to kind of make this be a looser one, but then when I want to go in and add dark detail, I can pick up over here with less water. So I make more than one. I'm going to go with the loose watery one here and just put a little down, and you can just plop it down like so, and then come in and grab some of the darker, more concentrated coffee and add that in there. Get some of that in there too, because you want those darks and lights. And so you've got wet area, and then on the dry area where you don't have any water, not much water on your aqua painter, add a little more, and that'll give you a nice little look. You can add more water to it if you want, just kind of play around with it. And then I like to take my brush, still wet with coffee, and do some flicking. Looks like splashes of coffee. So I like to do that, and that way you've got a nice little splatter pattern, and you can do more or less of that as you desire. And that will be a background for one of the cards. For another card, I want it to be a large grouping of coffee splatter. So I'm going to get some coffee on my brush, and I'm going to squeeze the aqua paint and really get it on there and move it around just everywhere. Then I'm going to come in with the dark and add more pure coffee. Even more. Let's see if I can grab some dried up coffee. Just getting it all over, spreading it around. You can fill your brush up with some more, give it a little squeeze and splatter. If you want some big plops of coffee, larger droplets, you can get your brush pretty wet with coffee and then kind of jab and get some bigger splots. Flicking off the cap is nice, it's a little more controlled, so I like it, but sometimes you want less control and you just want bigger splots. Okay, so that's one background. I'm going to put these off to the side to dry. And then this one I want right in the center. I'm going to add some coffee, just kind of blotting it down. You want it to be kind of wet. And another one. Trying to grab some of that darker dried up coffee from the corners here, just to add some darkness. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start putting these cards together. It dries really fast, the coffee does. Still a tiny bit damp, but we can work with that while we do our stamping. So it totally smells like coffee in here. And I think if the person knows that it's coffee, if they put it up to their nose, they'll smell the coffee. Or if you give it to them right away, or something with a lot of coffee on it, it'll still smell a little bit like coffee. It could be like a scratch and sniff. You could tell them to intentionally scratch it. It's just a silly, fun way to send a card. So I have little scraps. I love to use my scraps. This is Flirty Flamingo, and you know when you cut cardstock down for card fronts, you often have these little skinny little scraps of paper. So I'm going to go ahead and use that with this Early Espresso. If you don't want to use actual coffee, you can paint with your Early Espresso ink and get a similar look. You just won't get that nice smell. So I'm going to try and find my stamps here. This one says A Day Without. I'm going a little bit downward, but I'm going to go ahead and take it. And then I'm going to do a few more. This one's going to say, and be awesome. And this one says, because adulting is hard. Let's see, where's my today's plan? Here it is. Okay, and then I have one that's kind of big. This one says, it's like, just kidding, I have no idea. So I need a little bit bigger piece for that. So I have a scrap here. And we'll just cut this down. I think that's a good square. Sometimes I have to put my cardstock on these grid lines to see if the scrap is square, because sometimes you don't know what you used this paper for, and maybe it wasn't square. Okay, so we're going to cut that out. So there I have all my sentiments for all 4 cards, I think. I hope I didn't forget one. I think that's all of them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just split these apart. It's nice to be able to quickly make 4 cards all at once. I'm planning on making this a card set, so I can give it as a gift to somebody who also likes coffee like me, or I could make a few of these. So I want to just cut these out. I'm not worrying about the exact size. I'm just kind of looking to see where a good place to cut them is. Ooh, I went way too close on there. I'll have to do that one again. I was just going too fast. Oh, there's another long one in case I need it. Okay, what one was bad? A Day Without. Okay, let's grab that stamp again. These are 1 inch, half an inch, sorry, thick strips here. Okay, let's see, what's dry here? This one is dry, so we're going to do this one, and you can decide, maybe you want to go in and add some more dark coffee. I went pretty dark on this one. I think I maybe put 2 layers on here. I like how I splattered going outward, so it looked like a splash, kind of like right there. So you want to not cover up that. You can kind of decide where to put your coffee cup based on where your splatter is. So I wanted to add a little bit more of the Just Jay to the background. So I kind of planned it out by seeing where these are, I'm gonna go, and you can again decide on this too based on how your splatter turned out. Maybe your splatter looks good and you don't want to cover it, so you can move these around a little bit. And then I grabbed some Just Jade and this tiny little sparkle dot. I love that little sparkle dot. It's really cute and it matches the sparkles in the coffee cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some of these, and I kind of wanted one above the words. And then you want to kind of maybe make a couple below. Okay, so I've got my little sparkle dots. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. Okay. And I already stamped and cut out the coffee cups. I wanted to make the focus of the card tutorial the splatter background and not so much die cutting, because I figure you know how to do that. So I already did that ahead of time. And here I want to put on the little steam. That's also one of the stamps. So the little sparkle is in the stamp set. See, it matches the coffee cup sparkle. And you've got this little steam rising. And I wanted to use that. And that I did in crumb cake. So kind of know where you're going to put your coffee cup. And then you're going to have to move it. And then stamp. Okay, now for the coffee, the word coffee, I cut that out ahead of time too. And I did one in Just Jade and one in early espresso paper, some cardstock, and I layered them. They had it layered like in the catalog like this. And I thought it was kind of fun to get that little shadow of the Just Jade coming out from behind. So I'm going to glue up the chocolate chip. Now, I cut all these out, and I cut a ton of them all out at one time. And then remembered that Stampin' Up! Sells an awesome product, which is a sticker sheet that you can put on the back of your cardstock, so that when you die cut these teeny tiny little things, these really skinny little images, they already have a sticker adhesive back. So how fun is that? But I had already cut these out before remembering about that product. Very silly of me. It would make my life so much easier, because you would just simply peel off the back and stick it down. But I'm too late for that. So when I do the cookie one, hopefully I'll remember, or the chocolate. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry before putting adhesive on the back. Let's work on this version. Now, a lot of this coffee splatter is going to get covered up, so you kind of want to take a look at it and see where you want your pieces to go. I cut out these little hearts ahead of time. This is from the, let me show you, the Stitched Be Mine framelits, and it's a heart collection, and they've got kind of larger hearts and then tall skinny hearts. I liked the tall skinny. This is a huge die cut collection. It's 2 pages of dies that are all heart themed, and they're fabulous. So I really like that kind of multi-purpose die set. So if you don't have that, that's a good one. And kind of see, where do you want this to be on the top? Do you want this to be on the bottom? Kind of decide where you like it. I kind of like this trailing off to the back here, so I'm going to put it like so. And then again, I wanted to add some of that Just Jade little sparkles. So I'm going to grab that little tiny sparkle stamp. And And again, here you can play around with this. Do you want them to be nice and straight? Do you want them on an angle? You know, what do you want them stacked up more like this? You can play around with this and see what you like. I might do I like it more straight like that? This one I did 2 words next to each other until the coffee. And this one, I don't know. I think I want to be different. Again, those sticker sheets would have been awesome right about now. Now the liquid multi-purpose glue actually dries really nicely clear, and it even dries pretty matte. It's not super shiny like the actually that really skinny glue, what is that called? Thin line glue? Why can't I think of it? I don't use it because it's so liquid for me. It's like so runny that it freaks me out. So I tend to use this thicker Tombow, and you can put this on too with a sponge. You know, just dab a little bit with a sponge is nice. And also, like I'm doing, just it's nice and thick and it doesn't run. I don't think it's kind of easy to control. Seems like it should be scary, but it's not. And I just dot a little bit, kind of here and there. Okay, and then you have to decide where do you want the coffee cup, and I kind of want it over here maybe. Where do I want it over here? No, I definitely like it over here. It's going to cover up some of my sparkle, but I think I'm okay with that. And I think I might even add the steam. Yes, I will. Okay, so that is another one. You know, some of you might be noticing this little cup. These are little, they're called sampler cups, and you find them at the grocery store. Here's what they look like, and I bought these tasting cups, 2 ounces, at the grocery store, and they have lids, which is cool. And I bought them to make this because I saw it on a video from our CEO, Sarah Douglas's daughter actually made this, where she just put hot glue in the bottom of one. I didn't do it pretty. You could do it really, you can make it nice and neat if you wanted to. But you hot glue a lid, you know, to the bottom of one of these cups, and that way your glue is always upside down and ready to go, and then you just keep putting it back in here. It's great. I love it. I'm so glad that I saw that little tip from her daughter, and I think it's really great. And so then I had these cups on hand, and I use them for my little coffee, and that way I can keep using this forever. I'll just put a lid on it so it doesn't get dusty, and I've got a little palette of coffee paint that I can use over and over again. So this is a really fun little tip. And then when you're done with this glue, when it runs out, keep this lid glued in there and just put a new, pop a new one of these in. It's fantastic. Anyway, I bought a whole bunch of those containers, so if I get to have stamp camp again, I'll make some for my stamp camp table once we're done with the social distancing. Okay, here's the next card I want to show you. It's 2 of the same, and we made our little backgrounds for this. This one's still a little bit damp. This one's dry. And let me just, let's see, they both start with the today's plan, consume. And we'll add our sparkle. I've got my coffee cups. And steam. Okay, so this one you're going to want to lay out your coffee cups and decide where your steam is going to go. And again, I'm using crumb cake for the steam. This one's still a tiny bit wet. Throwing some dimensionals behind the coffee cups. I kind of want the green on the left just because I have that little edge of flamingo down the left side of the card, so that's why I put the green coffee card to the left. And let's do that background. These are scraps of Flirty Flamingo, and you'll see they're different widths. It's just what I had in my scrap bin. So I did cut them to the same length. They're 5 1/4 long, but the width here is different. Like this one I think is 2 inches, and this one is 2 1/2. And all I did was I took that coffee cup and just went down and made a background. Now you can't really see it, so maybe you think, why bother? But because you see this image here, the person also knows that that's coffee cups behind, because it's the same. They can see the sparkles, they can see the shape. So I think it adds a little something. So we're just going to add coffee cups, kind of tipping one way and the other down the side. And you don't even have to go in the middle because no one will see that. The one that's dry. Oh, I forgot to put the word coffee on there. Let's take care of that. There's one. I don't want to turn this one over just yet because it's still drying, so I'm going to set that aside. And we'll attach the other two, and then we'll do some inside. So there we have our coffee collection. So for the inside, I thought I would just take that coffee cup stamp. Let me find my insides that I cut. And you can do a few different things for the inside. I thought we'd play around with it a little bit. For some of them, you can just kind of mimic that random coffee cup down the side that we had going on, like that, and that could be the inside. Another way would be, find my Just Jade. I think most of my cards are going this way. So you can do some in the Flirty Flamingo. And then a Just Jade. That's a fun inside. And then another inside that I thought of is using the Stamparatus. I thought it would be fun to, let me see, I wanted it to go this way, long way. And where is that coffee cup? So the Stamparatus is great because it allows you to line things up exactly where you want it to be. So, and move them over. So I'm going to try, see if I can get a nice number of coffee cups on the page. Some images are just not the right size to get a good image across the page. But this is small enough that I think I can stamp it enough times that it is cute. So there's one. And then if I move, let me see if I can get some of this out of the way so I can line this up better under the camera. If I pick up my plate and move it over a hinge and just go down almost and see if it fits. It does. Okay. So not all stamps are going to fit. Some of them, when you move it over a hinge, the images just are going to be too big and they'll still line up over each other. But this one will still work. So you can make a line of coffee cups across the bottom, move it over, did I move over 2 hinges? I did. And then we'll fill one, put steam like the second to last one. There we go, move it over a hinge. We can squeeze one more coffee cup in there. Yay, they fit. Look at that. I was able to get 5 across. Awesome. Okay, so now I want to take the image that goes on the inside of the coffee cup, which is this one here, and I'm going to grab it. Stick it on a block. Okay, let's see if I can do this without bumping my head into the camera because I want to be right above. I'm a little off. That's what happens when you have to have a camera over your head. And you can do that in pink too. So I'm just going to have the 1 cup filled in. And I'll even give it a little bit of steam. And that is super fun. So that'll be the inside of one of the cards. Let's see, is this a horizontal one? Where's my, here it is. Here's my horizontal one. So that can go right inside. Won't that be cute? Like so. Alright, so we've got horizontal ones with that inside, and then we can put this inside on the vertical ones. There we go, and I think I had another horizontal one that needed an inside. So here's a few different ways to do your insides. I hope you like my little card collection here. They are awfully fun to make and they smell like coffee. super fun. I hope that you'll try out the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. Take a look at it and keep checking in. I want to do some more cards with the cookies and the chocolates and some cocktails perhaps. So we've got all kinds of fun cards that you can make with this. And like I said, the dies are really great. And I love letter dies because you can do nice things with scrapbooking on here. So the love you more than, you can put anything there on a scrapbook page and a picture of someone you love on there. Super cute. And I'm thinking about making an I love you more than cookies with a picture of my daughter making cookies with me, or actually my son and my daughter make cookies together a lot, which is really fun, and it's good for me because then I get yummy cookies without any of the work. So anyway, it's a super cute stamp set for cards and scrapbooking. I really like it. I hope you'll check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye.